The sky turned dark over Seoul at noon. Taiho stood by his apartment window and looked up. What he saw made his heart stop. Thousands of ships hung in the sky like metal clouds. They blocked the sun completely. The ships were huge, each one bigger than any building on Earth. They stretched across the horizon in every direction. Taiho was 32 years old. He worked as a planetary defense analyst, which meant he studied alien threats for the government. He had always known this day might come. Humanity had met other species in space. Some were friendly, some were not, but nothing had prepared him for this. His phone rang. It was his sister, Jisoo. "Are you seeing this?" she asked. Her voice was shaking. "Yes," Taiho said quietly. "The Valoran Empire." "How do you know?" "I recognize the ship designs. I saw them once. 5 years ago." Jisoo was silent for a moment. She was a military captain, strong and brave, but even she sounded scared now. "What do they want?" "I don't know," Taiho said. But deep in his heart, he felt something strange. A memory from 5 years ago. A garden on an alien world. A woman with silver skin and violet eyes. A simple question he had asked her. The television turned on by itself. Every screen in the world showed the same image. A throne room made of black crystal. And sitting on the throne was the most beautiful and terrifying woman Taiho had ever seen. Empress Lavina of the Valoran Empire. Her skin was pale silver, smooth like moonlight on water. Her eyes glowed soft violet. She wore armor made of dark metal and purple cloth. A crown of twisted silver sat on her head. She looked young. But Taiho knew she was over 200 years old. Her empire controlled more than 200 star systems. She had conquered worlds without mercy. Billions feared her name. She spoke, and her voice filled every speaker on Earth. "People of Earth," she said. Her voice was cold like winter wind. "My fleet surrounds your planet. Your weapons cannot hurt us. Your ships cannot escape. I could destroy your world in 1 hour. Every city, every person, everything you have built." Taiho watched her face on the screen. He remembered that face from 5 years ago. But back then, she had looked different. Tired, lonely, human almost. "But I will not destroy you," the Empress continued. "I will spare your planet. I will leave your people in peace. I ask for only one thing in return." The world held its breath. "There is a human male named Taiho. He works in your planetary defense department. He visited my empire 5 years ago as part of a diplomatic team." Taiho felt his blood turn cold. "Bring him to me," the Empress said, "and I will spare your world. You have 24 hours. The screen went black. Taiho's phone exploded with calls. His boss, government officials, news reporters. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. Why did the most powerful empress in the galaxy want him? He did not answer any calls. He just stood by the window and remembered. 5 years ago, Earth had sent its first diplomatic mission to the Valoran Empire. Taiho was a junior analyst then, young and unimportant. He was only there to take notes and observe. The mission was supposed to be simple: meet the Empress, show respect, hope she would leave Earth alone. On the 3rd day, Taiho got lost in the palace. The hallways all looked the same, endless corridors of black crystal. He wandered for an hour before finding a garden. It was beautiful, full of strange flowers that glowed in the dark. And there, sitting alone on a bench, was the Empress. She was not wearing her crown. She was not surrounded by guards. She was just sitting there, looking at the flowers. She looked tired. She looked sad. Taiho knew he should run. He should bow and apologize and leave, but something made him stay. Maybe it was foolishness. Maybe it was something else. He walked closer. "Are you okay?" he asked. The Empress looked at him. Her violet eyes widened with surprise. No one spoke to her like that. No one asked if she was okay. She was a conqueror, a goddess, a monster to some, but never just a person. "What did you say?" she asked. "I asked if you were okay," Taiho repeated. "You look tired." For a long moment, she just stared at him. Then something strange happened. Her cold expression softened. Just a little. Just for a second. "No one has ever asked me that," she said quietly. They talked for a few minutes. Nothing important, just small things. The flowers in the garden, the long journey from Earth, the weight of responsibility. Then guards came looking for him, and he had to leave. He never saw her again. Until now. Taiho understood now why she wanted him. That brief conversation had meant nothing to him at the time, but to her, it had meant everything. Someone knocked on his door, hard and fast. He opened it. Jisoo stood there in her military uniform. Her face was pale with anger and fear. "They're coming for you," she said. "The government. They want to hand you over." "I know," Taiho said calmly. "We have to run. I can hide you. I have contacts who can—" "No." Jisoo grabbed his shoulders. "Are you crazy? She'll kill you. Or worse." Taiho shook his head. "If I don't go, she'll kill everyone. 8 billion people, Jisoo. Mom and Dad, your husband, everyone. There has to be another way." "There isn't." Taiho looked into his sister's eyes. "I met her once 5 years ago. I don't think she wants to hurt me. I think she's just lonely." "Lonely?" Jisoo laughed bitterly. "She's a monster who destroys worlds." "Maybe. But she's also a person. And right now, I'm the only one who can save our planet." Tears fell from Jisoo's eyes. She was a soldier. She had faced death many times. But watching her brother sacrifice himself was worse than any battle. "I won't let you go alone," she said. "You have to. Stay here. Take care of Mom and Dad. And if I don't come back," he hugged her tight, "know that I did this because I love our world. And I love you." Jisoo held him and cried. The next morning, Taiho walked out of his apartment building. Government cars waited for him. Soldiers stood in lines. News cameras filmed everything. The whole world watched as one ordinary man prepared to meet the alien empress. He looked up at the sky one last time. The ship still hung there, dark and silent. Somewhere up there, she was waiting for him. He took a deep breath and stepped into the car. He did not know what waited for him on that ship. He did not know if he would live or die. But he knew one thing for certain. He would face the Empress, and he would find out why she remembered him after all these years. The car drove away. Jisoo watched until it disappeared. Then she wiped her tears and made a silent promise. She would find a way to save her brother, no matter what it took. The government building was full of chaos. Generals shouted at each other. Politicians argued about what to do. Screens showed news from around the world. Some people protested in the streets, demanding that Earth fight back. Others held signs saying, "Give them Taiho." The whole planet was afraid and divided. Taiho sat alone in a small room, waiting. They had brought him here 3 hours ago. No one had told him anything since then. The door opened. A woman walked in. She wore a dark uniform with many medals. Her face was serious, but kind. This was Commander Somin, the leader of Earth's United Defense Council. She was the most powerful military leader on the planet. "Taiho," she said, sitting across from him, "I need you to tell me everything. Why does the Empress want you?" Taiho told her about the garden. The tired Empress. The simple question. Commander Somin listened without speaking. When he finished, she shook her head slowly. "You asked an alien Empress if she was okay, and now she's holding our planet hostage for you?" "I know it sounds strange," Taiho said. "Strange?" Somin laughed, but there was no happiness in it. "It sounds impossible. She's destroyed entire civilizations. She's killed billions. And you think she wants you because you were nice to her once? I don't know what she wants, but I'm willing to go find out. Salman studied his face for a long moment. You're brave. Or maybe foolish. I can't tell which. Maybe both, Taiho said. The door burst open. Jisoo stormed in, still wearing her captain's uniform. 2 guards tried to stop her, but she pushed past them. You can't send him, she shouted at Somin. He's a citizen. We don't sacrifice our people. Captain, Somin said calmly, control yourself. Control myself? That's my brother. You're sending him to die. I'm sending him to save 8 billion lives. Somin stood up. Do you think I like this? Do you think any of us like this? But we have no choice. Our weapons are useless against their ships. We can't fight. We can't run. All we can do is hope. Jisoo turned to Taiho. Her eyes were red from crying. Please, don't do this. Let me find another way. I'll talk to the military. We'll think of something. Taiho stood up and took her hands. There's no time, and there's no other way. But I don't think she wants to hurt me, Jisoo. I really don't. How can you know that? Because if she wanted to hurt Earth, she would have done it already. She didn't have to make this offer. She could have just destroyed us. But she didn't. She asked for me. That means something. Jisoo shook her head. You always see the good in people, even people who don't deserve it. Maybe that's exactly what she needs, Taiho said softly. An hour later, Taiho stood in a military hangar. A small shuttle waited for him. It would take him up to the Valoran flagship, the biggest ship in the fleet. The Empress was there, waiting. His friend Hyun came running up at the last moment. Hyun was also a defense analyst. They had worked together for 7 years. I found something, Hyun said, breathing hard. I've been looking at the Valoran fleet movements for the past 5 years. They've been conquering everything in their path. Everything except us. What do you mean? Earth. They avoided Earth completely. For 5 years they went around us. They could have attacked us any time, but they didn't. It's like someone ordered them to leave us alone. Taiho understood. The Empress had protected Earth. For 5 years, she had kept her fleet away from his planet, because of one conversation in a garden. She remembered me, Taiho said quietly. More than remembered, Hyun said. She protected us because of you. Whatever happened in that garden, it changed her. Taiho hugged his friend. Thank you for finding this. It helps. It really does. Come back alive, Hyun said. I still owe you lunch. Taiho smiled. Then he turned and walked to the shuttle. Jisoo stood by the hangar door. She didn't say anything. She just saluted him. A soldier's goodbye. He saluted back. The shuttle lifted off. Through the window, Taiho watched Earth grow smaller and smaller. The blue oceans, the green lands, the white clouds, his home, his world. Everything he loved was down there. He hoped he would see it again. The Valoran flagship was enormous. It was bigger than some cities. The shuttle flew toward it like a tiny insect approaching a whale. Taiho felt very small. The shuttle landed in a huge hangar. Hundreds of alien soldiers waited there. They were tall, with gray skin and cold black eyes. They wore dark armor and carried weapons that hummed with energy. They looked at Taiho with disgust. To them, he was just a weak human. A small creature from a small planet. They couldn't understand why their Empress wanted him. A door opened. An older alien walked through. He wore rich robes of purple and gold. His face was sharp and cruel. This was High Advisor Korum, the Empress's most trusted advisor. So you are the human, Korum said. His voice was like ice. I expected something more impressive. Taiho didn't respond. He just stood straight and met Korum's eyes. The Empress has made a mistake, Korum continued. Humans are weak, emotional, worthless. But she insisted on having you. So here you are. I didn't ask to be here, Taiho said calmly. No, but you will serve your purpose, whatever that purpose is. Coram smiled coldly. "And when the Empress grows bored with you, I will be there to dispose of you properly." Guards surrounded Taiho and led him through the ship. The halls were dark and cold. Everything was made of black metal and crystal. There were no windows, no plants, no color. It felt like walking through a tomb. They stopped before two massive doors. The doors were carved with images of conquered worlds, burning cities, and kneeling prisoners. A history of victory and destruction. "The throne room," a guard said. "Enter. The Empress is waiting." Taiho took a deep breath. His heart was beating fast, but he made himself calm. He had faced fear before. He could face it again. The doors opened slowly. Beyond them was a vast room. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness. Pillars of black crystal lined the walls, and at the far end, on a throne of dark metal, sat Empress Lavina. She looked exactly as she had on television. Silver skin, violet eyes, beautiful and terrifying. But now, seeing her in person, Taiho noticed something else. Something hidden beneath her cold expression. Loneliness. Deep and ancient and painful. She raised her hand. Every guard left the room. The doors closed behind them. They were alone. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. They just looked at each other. Two people from different worlds, different species, different lives, but connected by one small moment, 5 years ago. "You came," the Empress finally said. "I came," Taiho agreed. "You could have run. Your people could have hidden you. And you would have destroyed Earth." "Yes." She tilted her head. "But you didn't run. You came willingly. Why?" Taiho thought about his answer carefully. "Because I remember you," he said. "Not the Empress, not the Conqueror. I remember a tired woman, sitting alone in a garden, and I think that woman deserves an answer to whatever question she's been holding for 5 years." The Empress's violet eyes widened. For just a moment, her mask of cold power cracked, and underneath, Taiho saw the same lonely woman from the garden. She stood up from her throne and walked toward him. "You remembered," she said softly. "After all this time, you remembered." "I did," Taiho said. "Now tell me, Empress, what do you really want from me?" She stopped in front of him, close enough to touch. Her violet eyes searched his face. "I want," she said slowly, "to understand why I can't forget you." Taiho looked at the Empress. Her words hung in the air between them. She couldn't forget him. For 5 years, she had thought about him, about one simple question in a garden. "Why couldn't you forget?" he asked gently. Lavina turned away. She walked to a large window that showed the stars outside. Her silver skin glowed softly in the starlight. "In 200 years of rule," she said, "no one has ever asked if I was okay. No one has ever looked at me and seen a person instead of a throne. Until you." "That seems sad," Taiho said. She laughed, but it was a cold sound. "Sad? I am the most powerful being in this galaxy. I have conquered 200 star systems. Billions bow to my name. What is there to be sad about? Power isn't the same as happiness." Lavina turned to look at him. Her violet eyes were sharp. "What do you know about power?" "Nothing," Taiho admitted, "but I know about loneliness. And I see it in your eyes." For a moment, she looked angry. Her hands tightened into fists. No one spoke to her like this. No one dared. But then the anger faded. Her shoulders dropped slightly. The mask of the cold Empress slipped just a little. "You are strange," she said. "You should be afraid of me. You should beg for your life. But instead, you talk about my feelings." "Would begging help?" "No." "Then why waste time on it?" Taiho smiled slightly. "You said you wanted to understand why you can't forget me. Maybe it's because I treated you like a person. And maybe that's what you've been missing." Lavina studied him for a long moment. Then she pressed a button on her throne. A door opened in the wall. "These will be your quarters," she said. "They are the finest rooms on the ship. You will have food, comfort, everything you need. Am I a prisoner? You are my guest. Guests can leave when they want." Lavina's eyes hardened. "Do not test me, human. I spared your planet because I wanted you. That doesn't mean I won't change my mind." Taiho nodded slowly. He understood. He was not free, but he was alive. For now, that was enough. The quarters were beautiful. Rich fabrics covered the walls. Soft lights created a warm glow. There was a bed larger than his entire apartment on Earth. A bathroom with a pool-sized bath, windows that showed the stars, but guards stood outside the door, and cameras watched from every corner. A golden cage was still a cage. Taiho spent the first day exploring his rooms. He tried to understand his situation. The Empress wanted something from him, something beyond just his presence. But what? On the second day, someone visited him. High Advisor Korum. The old alien walked in without knocking. He looked around the luxurious room with disgust. "Comfortable?" Korum asked. His voice dripped with contempt. "It's very nice," Taiho said calmly. "Enjoy it while you can. The Empress has strange moods. Today she wants a pet human. Tomorrow she might want something else. And when she grows tired of you," Korum drew a finger across his throat, "you don't seem to like me very much. I don't like your species. You are weak, emotional. You have nothing to offer the galaxy. The Empress should have destroyed your planet like all the others." Taiho kept his face calm. "Then why didn't she?" Korum's eye twitched. "A question I ask myself every day. For 5 years she protected your worthless world. For 5 years, she refused to let our fleet touch Earth, all because of one human." He stepped closer to Taiho. "What did you do to her?" "I asked if she was okay." Korum stared at him. Then he laughed. It was an ugly sound. "You asked if she was okay? That's it? That's what saved your planet? That's it. Pathetic." Korum shook his head. "She is the greatest empress our empire has ever known, and she was broken by one kind word from a primitive creature." He left without another word. But Taiho thought about what he had said. Broken. Was that really what happened? Or had something else happened in that garden? Something deeper? On the third day, Taiho requested to see the Empress. To his surprise, she agreed. They met in a smaller room. No throne, no guards, just 2 chairs by a window showing a distant nebula. "You wanted to see me," Lavina said. She sat stiffly, her back straight, her face cold. "I wanted to thank you," Taiho said. Her eyes narrowed. "Thank me? For what?" "For sparing Earth, for protecting my planet for 5 years. My friend found records showing that your fleet avoided Earth completely. That was because of you, wasn't it?" Lavina was silent for a moment. Then she looked away. "It was a strategic decision. Earth was not worth the resources." "That's not true, and we both know it." "You dare call me a liar?" "I dare call you lonely." Taiho leaned forward. "I think you remembered our conversation. I think it meant something to you. And I think you protected Earth because you wanted to see me again someday." Lavina's hands gripped the arms of her chair. Her violet eyes burned with emotion. Anger, shame, fear. Maybe all 3. "You know nothing about me," she said. "I know that in 200 years no one asked if you were okay. I know that you sit on a throne surrounded by millions, but you're completely alone. I know that you brought me here not as a prisoner, but as—" He paused, searching for the right word. "As a hope." Hope? The word seemed to confuse her. Hope that someone in this galaxy might see you. The real you, not the Empress, not the Conqueror. Just you. Lavina stood up suddenly. She turned away from him. Her shoulders trembled slightly. "You should not say such things," she said quietly. "Why not?" "Because they are dangerous." Dangerous to whom? She turned back to face him, and for the first time, Taiho saw something new in her eyes. Not coldness, not power, something softer, something almost like tears. "To me," she whispered. Taiho stood up slowly. He walked toward her carefully, like approaching a wounded animal. "You've been alone for so long," he said gently. "You've had to be strong for so long. No one to talk to, no one to trust, no one to care if you're okay. That's not power, Empress. That's prison." "Don't!" Her voice cracked. "Let me help you." "Why would you help me? I threatened your world. I took you from your home. You should hate me." Taiho stopped in front of her, close enough to see the faint glow of her silver skin, close enough to see the pain in her violet eyes. "Because I think you're worth helping," he said simply. Lavina stared at him. A single tear, silver like her skin, fell down her cheek. "I don't know what to do with you," she said. "I don't know what you make me feel. I've never felt this before." "That's okay," Taiho said. "We can figure it out together." She laughed softly. It was a different laugh than before. Warmer, more real. "Together," she repeated, like she was testing the word. "I haven't done anything together with anyone for a very long time." "Then maybe it's time to start." The Empress looked at him. The lonely woman from the garden looked back, and somewhere in the cold depths of space something began to change. "I have a request," Lavina said slowly. "What is it?" "Teach me. Teach me what it means to be, what did you call it? A person. Not an empress, just a person." Taiho smiled. It was a strange request from the most powerful being in the galaxy, but it was also the most human thing she had ever asked. "Okay," he said, "but I warn you, being a person isn't easy. It means feeling things, good things and bad things. It means letting people in. It means being hurt sometimes. I am not afraid of pain. This kind of pain is different, but the good things are worth it, I promise." Lavina looked at him for a long moment. Then she did something that shocked him. She smiled. A real smile, small and uncertain, but real. "Then let us begin," she said. The days passed slowly on the Valoran flagship. Taiho began his strange task of teaching the Empress how to be human. It was not easy. Lavina had spent 200 years building walls around her heart. Breaking them down would take time. They started with simple things, meals together. In Valoran culture, the Empress always ate alone. Food was fuel, nothing more. But Taiho insisted they share meals at the same table. "Why does this matter?" Lavina asked, looking at the food in front of her. "Eating is just eating." "No, it's not," Taiho said. "Sharing food is how humans connect. We talk, we laugh, we share stories. It's not about the food. It's about being together." Lavina looked confused, but she tried. They ate together every day. At first, the silence was uncomfortable. Lavina didn't know how to make conversation. She had only ever given orders or received reports. "Tell me about your day," Taiho said one evening. "My day?" She seemed surprised by the question. "I reviewed fleet movements, approved 3 conquest plans, executed 2 traitors." Taiho nearly choked on his food. "That's quite a day." "Is it?" It was a normal day. He realized how different their worlds were. For her, death and conquest were routine. For him, they were unthinkable. "Let's talk about something else," he said. "What do you do for fun?" "Fun?" The word seemed foreign to her. "Yes, things you enjoy, hobbies, activities that make you happy." Lavina thought for a long moment. "I don't know. I have never had time for such things." This made Taiho sad. 200 years of life, and she had never done anything just for joy. She had only ever worked, fought, and ruled. Then we'll have to find something, he said. He taught her a simple card game. It was a game his grandmother had taught him when he was young. Easy rules, no strategy needed, just luck and laughter. Lavina lost the first game, and the second, and the third. Her face grew darker with each loss. "This game is broken," she declared. Taiho laughed. He couldn't help it. The most powerful empress in the galaxy, angry at a simple card game. She looked at him sharply. "You dare laugh at me?" "I'm sorry," he said, still smiling. "But your face, you looked so serious. It's just a game. It doesn't matter if you win or lose." "I always win. At everything. That's the problem. You've never learned how to lose. Losing is part of being human." Lavina stared at him. Then something strange happened. The corner of her mouth twitched. Just slightly. And then she laughed too. It was a small laugh, rusty, like a door that hadn't been opened in years. But it was real. "You are the strangest creature I have ever met," she said. "I'll take that as a compliment." Days turned into weeks. Lavina began to change, small changes at first. She smiled more. She asked questions instead of giving commands. She listened. One night, she told Taiho about her childhood. It was not a happy story. She was born into royalty, but her parents were killed when she was 5. Her uncle took the throne and raised her as a weapon. She learned to fight before she learned to read. She killed her first enemy at age 10. She conquered her first planet at 12. By the time she was 20, she had taken the throne by force. "Love was weakness," she said quietly. "That's what my uncle taught me. Caring for others made you vulnerable. So I learned not to care, not to feel, not to love." Taiho listened in silence. His heart hurt for her. She had never been a child, never been loved, never been allowed to be anything but a conqueror. "That's not weakness," he said gently. "Love is the strongest thing humans have. It makes us protect each other, fight for each other, die for each other." "Die for each other?" Lavina looked skeptical. "That sounds like weakness to me. My sister would die for me. I would die for her. Is that weak?" Lavina was silent. She thought about his words for a long time. Meanwhile, on Earth, Hyun was working late. He had been studying Valoran communications for weeks. Something was wrong. The messages between ships had increased dramatically. Secret channels were being used. And all of them mentioned one name: Corum. Hyun cracked one of the encrypted messages. What he found made his blood freeze. Corum was planning a coup. He had gathered loyal officers who thought the Empress had grown soft. They planned to kill Lavina and take control of the fleet, and the first thing they would do was destroy Earth. Hyun immediately contacted Jisoo. "Your brother is in danger," he said. "They're going to kill the Empress and destroy our planet." Jisoo had been training for weeks, preparing a secret rescue mission. She had gathered a small team of the best soldiers on Earth. Now they had a new purpose. "We leave tonight," she said. Back on the flagship, Lavina continued to change. She called off an attack on a rebellious colony. Instead of destroying them, she offered to negotiate. Her court was shocked. The Empress never negotiated. She conquered or she destroyed. There was no middle ground. Corum watched from the shadows. His anger grew every day. The human had corrupted their Empress. He had made her weak. This could not continue. One evening, Taiho found Lavina on the observation deck. She stood alone watching the stars. "I countermanded the attack," she said without turning around. "I heard. That was brave." "Brave?" She laughed softly. "My advisors think I've gone mad. Corum looked at me like I had grown a second head. Do you regret it?" She turned to face him. Her violet eyes were troubled, but determined. "No," she said. "For the first time in 200 years, I did something because I thought it was right. Not because it was strong, Not because it was expected, because it was right. How does that feel? She smiled. A real smile, warm and genuine. Strange, but good. Taiho smiled back. She was learning. Slowly, painfully, but she was learning. Thank you, she said suddenly. For what? For teaching me, for being patient, for... She struggled with the words. For seeing me. The real me. The real you was always there, Taiho said. She was just hiding. Lavina stepped closer to him. They were very close now, close enough that he could see the light dancing in her violet eyes. I don't know what this feeling is, she said softly. This warmth in my chest when I see you, this pain when you're not near. What is it? Taiho's heart beat faster. He knew the answer, but he wasn't sure she was ready to hear it. I think, he said carefully, you're learning to care about someone. Care, she repeated. Is that what this is? It's the beginning. Where it goes from here, that's up to you. She looked at him for a long moment. Something passed between them. Something unspoken but powerful. Then her communicator buzzed. An emergency alert. She frowned and checked the message. Her face went pale. What's wrong? Taiho asked. Security breach, she said. Someone has accessed the restricted channels. Someone is planning something. Before she could say more, the lights went out. Emergency alarms screamed through the ship. The sound of weapons fire echoed in the distance. Korum, Lavina whispered. He's making his move. Taiho grabbed her hand. Then we fight back, together. She looked at their joined hands. Then she looked at his face, and despite the chaos around them, she smiled. Together, she agreed. The battle for the Empire had begun. The ship shook as explosions rocked the lower decks. Alarms screamed, red emergency lights flashed in the darkness. Chaos had come to the Valoran flagship. Lavina moved fast. She pulled Taiho through a hidden door behind a wall panel. They entered a narrow passage that ran between the main corridors. Service tunnels, she explained. Only I know about them. Korum won't find us here. What's happening? Taiho asked. A coup. I should have seen it coming. Korum has been against me for months. He thinks I've grown weak because of you. Have you? She stopped and turned to face him. Even in the dim emergency light, her violet eyes were fierce. No, she said firmly. I've grown different. There's a difference. They moved through the tunnels. Lavina led them toward the engineering section. She said there was a secondary command center there, a place she could use to regain control of the ship. But before they reached it, they heard footsteps. Soldiers in black armor appeared at the end of the tunnel, Korum's men. There, one of them shouted. Kill the human! Take the Empress alive! Lavina stepped in front of Taiho. Her hand moved in a blur. A blade appeared from her wrist armor. She was fast, faster than anything Taiho had ever seen. The first soldier fell before he could raise his weapon. The second managed to fire once before Lavina cut him down. The third turned to run, but she was already there. In seconds, all 5 soldiers lay on the ground. Lavina wasn't even breathing hard. She turned back to Taiho. Blood stained her silver skin. Her violet eyes were cold and hard. Are you hurt? She asked. Taiho shook his head. He was shocked by her speed, by her violence. He had almost forgotten what she was. A conqueror, a killer, the most dangerous being in the galaxy. Lavina saw the look on his face. Her expression softened. I'm sorry you had to see that, she said quietly. Don't be sorry. You saved my life. That was always the plan. She almost smiled. Come, we're running out of time. They reached the secondary command center. Lavina accessed the ship's systems and learned the truth. Korum had moved fast. He controlled the bridge. He had most of the army on his side. Loyal soldiers were either dead or imprisoned, and worst of all, he had already sent an order to the fleet. He's ordered them to destroy Earth, Lavina said. Her voice was tight with anger. "Even if we stop him here, the order has been sent. In 6 hours, your planet will burn." Taiho felt cold fear in his chest. His family, his friends, his entire world. 6 hours. "Can you cancel the order?" he asked. "Only from the main bridge, only with my personal codes. Corum will be waiting for me there." "Then that's where we go." Lavina looked at him with surprise. "That's suicide. He has an army. I have one blade and one human who has never held a weapon. You also have something he doesn't." "What?" "Something to fight for." Lavina stared at him. Something shifted in her eyes. The coldness faded. The warrior empress was still there, but so was something else. Something warmer. "You really are the strangest creature," she said. They made their way toward the bridge. The ship was in chaos. Fires burned in some sections. Bodies lay in others. Corum's soldiers fought with the few loyal guards that remained. As they moved through a large hall, a plasma blast hit the wall near Lavina's head. She spun, blade ready, but before she could move, a soldier tackled her from the side. They crashed to the ground. More soldiers poured into the hall. They ignored Taiho and focused on Lavina. She fought like a demon, but there were too many. One of them got behind her. A blade flashed. Lavina screamed as the blade cut deep into her back. Something snapped inside Taiho. Without thinking, he grabbed a fallen weapon from the ground. He didn't know how to use it. He didn't care. He ran at the soldier who had hurt Lavina and swung with all his strength. The soldier fell. Taiho stood over Lavina, weapon raised, ready to fight anyone who came close. "Stay back!" he shouted. His voice echoed in the hall. The soldiers hesitated. They looked at this small human, this weak creature, standing against them without fear. It confused them. Lavina used the moment. She grabbed a plasma pistol from a fallen soldier and fired. Once. Twice. 3 times. The remaining soldiers fell. Silence filled the hall. Taiho dropped to his knees beside her. "You're hurt. We need to stop the bleeding." "It's nothing." But her voice was weak. Silver blood flowed from the wound on her back. "It's not nothing." Taiho tore a strip from his shirt and pressed it against her wound. "We need to get you help." Lavina looked up at him. Her eyes were filled with wonder. "You protected me," she said. "You could have run. You should have run. But you stayed and fought for me." "Of course I did." "Why? I took you from your home. I'm not even human. Why would you risk your life for me?" Taiho looked into her violet eyes. He saw pain there. Not just physical pain, the pain of someone who had never been truly protected before. "Because that's what you do for people you care about," he said simply. "You don't abandon them. Ever." A tear fell from Lavina's eye. Silver, like her blood, like her skin. "No one has ever—" She couldn't finish the sentence. "I know," Taiho said gently. "But I'm here now, and I'm not leaving." He helped her stand. She was weak from blood loss, but her eyes burned with new determination. "We need to reach the bridge," she said. "Corum must be stopped. Can you walk?" "I can do more than walk." She took a deep breath. "Help me get there. I'll handle the rest." They moved through the ship together. Taiho supported her weight. Lavina directed them through passages and shortcuts. Twice they encountered enemy soldiers. Twice Lavina killed them with cold efficiency, even in her wounded state. Finally, they reached the corridor leading to the bridge. A massive door stood before them. Behind it was Corum and his remaining forces. Behind it was the future of Earth. "Once we enter, there's no going back," Lavina said. "Corum will kill you if he gets the chance." "I know. You should stay here. Let me handle this alone." Taiho shook his head. "I told you. We do this together." Lavina looked at him for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She leaned forward and pressed her forehead against his. It was a Valoran gesture, Taiho realized. Something intimate. something meaningful. "Whatever happens in there," she said softly, "know that you changed me. You showed me that there's another way to live. Thank you for that." Taiho's heart ached. "Don't talk like this is goodbye." "It might be." "It won't be. We're going to win. And then we're going to figure out what comes next. Together." She smiled. That real smile he had grown to love. "Together," she agreed. She pressed her hand against the door panel. It recognized her codes. The massive doors began to open. Beyond them lay the bridge. Corum stood at the command console, his hand on a glowing red button. Around him were 50 armed soldiers. "Ah, Empress," Corum said. His voice was calm and cruel. "I wondered when you would arrive. And you brought your pet human. How touching." Lavina stepped forward, ignoring her wound. "Stand down, Corum. This is your last chance." "My last chance?" Corum laughed. "Look around you. I have won. The Empire is mine, and your precious Earth." He stroked the red button. "One touch, and it burns. What will you do now, Empress? Kill me? The moment I die, my hand falls, and Earth is gone." Taiho stepped up beside Lavina. His heart was racing, but his voice was steady. "Then don't kill him," he said. "Talk to him." Everyone in the room stared at him, Corum most of all. "Talk?" Corum laughed again. "You think words can save you now, human?" "I think words are the only thing that can save anyone," Taiho said, and he stepped forward toward the enemy, toward the button that could destroy his world. "Let me talk," he said. "Just talk. What do you have to lose?" Karum's finger hovered over the button. His eyes narrowed, but he didn't press it. "Very well, human. Talk, and when you finish, I will destroy everything you love." Taiho took a deep breath. The fate of Earth hung on what he said next. The bridge was silent. 50 soldiers watched with their weapons ready. Corum's hand remained on the red button. Lavina stood wounded behind Taiho. Everything hung in the balance. Taiho looked at Corum. The advisor's face was hard with hatred. His black eyes burned with anger that had been building for months, maybe years. "You think I'm your enemy," Taiho said quietly. "But I'm not." Corum laughed bitterly. "You corrupted our Empress. You made her weak. You are the reason this empire is falling apart." "Is it falling apart, or is it changing?" "Change is weakness. The Valoran Empire was built on strength, on conquest, on fear. That's what made us great." Taiho took another step forward. Every soldier tensed, but Corum raised his other hand, signaling them to wait. He was curious despite himself. "What made you great?" Taiho said carefully. "Was your power. But power alone doesn't last. Empires built only on fear always fall. Always. The conquered wait for any moment of weakness, and then they strike back. We have no weakness. Everyone has weakness, even you, Corum." The advisor's face twitched. "You know nothing about me, human. I know you've served the Empress for over 100 years. I know you've watched her change these past weeks, and I know that scares you." Taiho paused. "But I think something else scares you more." Corum said nothing. His finger trembled slightly over the button. "You're scared that maybe she's right," Taiho continued. "Maybe there is another way. Maybe strength and fear aren't enough. And if that's true, then everything you've done, everything you've believed has been wrong." "Silence," Corum's voice cracked. "You don't know anything. I know that you've spent your whole life serving an empire that never thanked you, never cared about you. You were just a tool, a useful weapon, just like everyone else in this empire." Taiho stepped closer. "But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if people could actually matter? What if loyalty came from love instead of fear?" Corum stared at him. Something flickered in his dark eyes. Pain, old buried pain. You speak of things that don't exist, he said, but his voice was less certain now. They exist among humans. We protect each other not because we're forced to, but because we care. We fight for each other because we love each other. And that makes us strong in a way that fear never can. Lavina spoke up. Her voice was weak from her wound, but it carried across the bridge. He's right. Corum. I've spent 200 years ruling through fear. It brought me power, but it brought me nothing else. No peace, no joy, no meaning. I conquered 200 worlds and never felt satisfied. Do you know why? Corum didn't answer. Because fear can never fill the empty places inside us. Only connection can. Only caring. Only... She paused, struggling with the word. Only love. Corum's hand shook. The button glowed red beneath his fingers. You're talking about weakness, he said, but there was no conviction in his voice anymore. No, Lavina said. I'm talking about the hardest thing in the universe. Letting yourself care when caring can hurt. Opening yourself up when you've been closed for so long. That's not weakness. That's courage. Suddenly, an explosion echoed from somewhere outside the bridge. The doors behind them blasted open. Soldiers poured in, but these were not Corum's men. They were humans. Jisoo led them, her weapon raised, her face fierce. Behind her came 20 of Earth's best soldiers. They had made it through the chaos of the ship. They had come to save Taiho. Everyone freeze! Jisoo shouted. Her soldiers spread out, taking defensive positions. Now the situation was even more dangerous. 3 groups faced each other. Corum's men, Jisoo's team, and in the middle, Taiho and Lavina. Taiho, Jisoo called. We're getting you out of here. Wait! Taiho held up his hand. Not yet. We're not done. Not done? There's a maniac with his finger on a planet killer. I know. But this isn't going to end with more violence. It's going to end with a choice. Taiho turned back to Corum. Your choice. Corum looked around the bridge. He was surrounded now. Even if he pressed the button, he would die moments later. His plan had failed. But the button still glowed under his hand. He could still destroy Earth. He could still have his revenge. You talk about choices, Corum said quietly. What choice do I have? If I surrender, I die. If I fight, I die. The only power I have left is this button. That's not true, Taiho said. You have another choice, a harder choice. You can be the one who changed things. What? Right now, you can either be the person who destroyed a world or the person who helped build something new. You can be remembered as a murderer or as someone who found the courage to try another way. Taiho stepped forward until he was within arm's reach of Corum. I know you've done terrible things. I know you've hurt people, but that doesn't mean you can't change. That's what being human taught me. It's never too late to become someone different. Corum looked at him. His eyes were wet now. The hatred was still there, but beneath it was something else. Exhaustion, loneliness, pain. I've served this empire for 140 years, he said. His voice was barely a whisper. I did everything they asked. Everything. And no one ever saw me. No one ever cared if I lived or died. I was just useful. I know, Taiho said gently. That's not right. You deserved better. Everyone deserves to be seen, to matter to someone. A tear fell from Corum's eye. His hand trembled violently over the button. If I let go, he said. If I surrender, what happens to me? Lavina spoke. I will spare your life. You have my word. You will be exiled, not executed. You will have a chance to find another path. Corum laughed weakly. Exile, after everything I've done. Mercy, Lavina said. Something I'm still learning, but I'm told it's important. For a long moment, Corum didn't move. The bridge was completely silent. Everyone held their breath. Then, slowly, Corum lifted his hand from the button. He stepped back. His shoulders slumped. All the fire went out of him. He looked old suddenly, tired. "I surrender," he said quietly. Guards moved in to take him away. As he passed Taiho, he stopped. "You are a strange creature," Coram said. "I still don't understand why you didn't just let them kill me." "Because killing you wouldn't have changed anything," Taiho said. "But maybe, somewhere down the line, mercy will." Coram stared at him for a moment. Then he nodded once and let the guards lead him away. The bridge erupted in controlled chaos. Soldiers secured the room. Orders were given. The fleet was contacted, and the attack on Earth was canceled. Jisoo ran to Taiho and grabbed him in a fierce hug. "You idiot," she said, tears streaming down her face. "You absolute idiot. You could have died." "But I didn't." "That's not the point." She punched his shoulder, then hugged him again. Lavina watched them from across the bridge. She had collapsed into her command chair, too weak to stand, but she was smiling, a tired, peaceful smile. Taiho went to her. Jisoo followed, her face guarded. "Thank you," Lavina said to Jisoo, "for coming for him. He's lucky to have a sister like you." Jisoo looked at the Empress. She saw the wound, the exhaustion, the silver tears on her cheeks. And she saw something else, the way Lavina looked at her brother. "He's free to come home now," Jisoo said carefully. "Right?" Lavina nodded slowly. "Yes, the deal is complete. Earth is safe. He owes me nothing." Taiho looked at Lavina. She looked back at him. Something passed between them, something unspoken but powerful. "Can you give us a moment?" Taiho asked his sister. Jisoo frowned but nodded. She stepped away to help secure the bridge. Taiho knelt beside Lavina's chair. He took her hand. Her silver skin was warm against his. "You're free," she said. "You should go home. Your sister needs you. Your planet needs you." "What about you?" Taiho asked. "What do you need?" Lavina's violet eyes filled with emotion she couldn't hide. "That's not a fair question," she whispered. "I think it's the only question that matters." She was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke, and her voice was small and vulnerable in a way he had never heard before. "I don't want you to leave." Taiho smiled. He lifted her hand and pressed it against his heart. "Then I won't." The medical bay was quiet. Lavina lay on a bed while doctors treated her wound. Taiho sat beside her, refusing to leave despite the doctor's protests. His sister stood by the door, watching with complicated eyes. When the doctors finished, they left them alone. Jisoo walked over and stood at the foot of the bed. "She'll be fine," one doctor had said. "The Empress is strong. She'll recover in a few days." Now it was just the three of them, the Empress, the human, and his sister. "You're not coming home," Jisoo said. It wasn't a question. Taiho looked at her. "Not yet. Not forever. But there are things I need to do here first." "Things?" Jisoo glanced at Lavina. "Or people?" Lavina spoke up. Her voice was tired but steady. "I would never force him to stay. I want you to know that. Whatever he chooses freely." Jisoo studied the Empress for a long moment. She was a soldier. She had been trained to see enemies everywhere. But looking at Lavina now, wounded and vulnerable and clearly in love with her brother, she couldn't see an enemy anymore. She saw a woman who had been alone for too long. "Why him?" Jisoo asked. "Of all the beings in the galaxy? Why my brother?" Lavina smiled softly. "Because he asked if I was okay. Because he saw me when no one else did. Because he taught me that strength isn't the only thing that matters." She looked at Taiho with warmth in her violet eyes. "Because he makes me want to be better." Jisoo sighed. She walked over to her brother and took his hands. "Mom and Dad are going to kill me," she said. "Tell them I'll visit soon." "You'd better." She hugged him tight. "And you'd better be happy, or I'll come back with a bigger army." Taiho laughed. "I will be, I promise." Jisoo looked at Lavina one more time. "Take care of him, or Empress or not, I'll find a way to make you regret it." Lavina nodded seriously. "I will protect him with everything I have." Jisoo left. Her soldiers followed. Their ship departed the flagship and headed back to Earth. Taiho watched through the window until it disappeared among the stars. Then he turned back to Lavina. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. "You're giving up your home, your family, everything you know." "I'm not giving up anything," Taiho said. "I'm gaining something. Something I didn't know I was looking for." "What's that?" He sat on the edge of her bed and took her hand again. "A purpose. A chance to help build something new. And—" He paused, searching for the right words. "Someone to build it with." Lavina's eyes glistened. "I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to love someone. I've never learned." "Neither have I. Not like this." Taiho smiled. "But we can figure it out together." "Together," she repeated. The word seemed to mean more to her every time she said it. The weeks that followed were hard. The Empire was in chaos after the coup attempt. Many worlds thought Lavina was weak. Some tried to rebel. Others waited to see what would happen. But Lavina surprised everyone. She didn't crush the rebels with force. She listened to them. She understood their complaints. She offered them better terms, more freedom, a voice in their own governance. Slowly, things began to change. Conquered worlds were given autonomy. They could govern themselves as long as they paid tribute and kept the peace. The brutal punishments of the past were replaced with fair trials. Mercy became a part of Valoran law for the first time in history. Not everyone was happy. Some Valoran leaders called the Empress weak. They said she had been corrupted by a human. They plotted against her. But they failed. Because for every enemy Lavina made, she gained 3 new allies. Worlds that had hated the Empire now supported her. Species that had fought against her now stood beside her. The Empire grew stronger through kindness than it ever had through fear. Taiho worked beside her every day. He served as her advisor on human relations. He helped her understand how to connect with people instead of just ruling them. He was there when she struggled, when she doubted herself, when the old habits tried to return. "I almost ordered an execution today," she confessed one night. They were standing on the observation deck, watching a distant nebula. "What stopped you?" "I asked myself what you would think, and I knew you would be disappointed." Taiho shook his head. "I wouldn't be disappointed. I would just remind you that there's another way, and I'd ask you to consider it." "You make it sound simple." "It's not simple. It's hard. But you're doing it anyway." "That's what matters." She leaned against him. It had taken her months to learn how to do something so simple. Physical closeness, casual affection, things that humans learned as children. "I love you," she said. The words came out awkward, unpracticed. She had never said them before to anyone. Taiho turned and cupped her face in his hands. Her silver skin was warm. Her violet eyes were full of uncertainty and hope. "I love you too," he said. 6 months after the coup, a historic event took place. The Valoran Empire and Earth signed a formal alliance. It was the first of its kind. 2 species, former enemies, agreeing to work together in peace. The ceremony was held on Earth. Taiho stood beside Lavina as she addressed the leaders of both worlds. She wore her imperial armor, but something was different about her. She stood tall, but not threatening, powerful, but not cruel. "For 200 years, she said, my empire ruled through fear. We conquered. We destroyed. We thought that was strength, but we were wrong." The crowd listened in silence. "True strength is not the power to destroy. True strength is the courage to change, to admit when you are wrong, to choose mercy over vengeance, to build instead of burn. She looked at Taiho. I learned this from a human. A man who asked me if I was okay when no one else cared. A man who taught me that connection matters more than conquest. She extended her hand to Earth's leaders. I offer peace, real peace. Not surrender, but partnership. Let us build something new together, something better than either of our worlds has known. The leaders of Earth looked at each other. Then, one by one, they stepped forward and took her hand. That night there was a celebration. Humans and Velorans mingled together for the first time. They shared food and stories and laughter. Old fears began to fade. Taiho found Lavina on a balcony, watching the festivities below. Earth's moon hung bright in the sky. How does it feel? He asked. Strange, she admitted. Good, but strange. A year ago, I was preparing to destroy this world. Now I'm allied with it. A lot can change in a year. Yes. She turned to look at him. You changed everything. No, you changed everything. I just reminded you that you could. She smiled, that real smile he loved, the one that had taken months to find. Do you ever regret it? She asked. Staying with me? Leaving your home? Taiho looked up at the moon. He thought about Earth, his family, his friends, his old life. I visit Earth whenever I want, he said. I talk to my sister every week. My parents are already asking when we're giving them grandchildren. He laughed. I didn't lose anything. I just gained more. Lavina took his hand. They stood together, watching the celebration below. What happens now? She asked. We keep going. We keep building. We make mistakes, and we learn from them. We face whatever comes next together. Together, she said. I never get tired of that word. Good, because you're going to hear it a lot. She leaned against him, and he wrapped his arm around her. Two beings from different worlds, different species, different lives, united by a simple question asked in a garden 5 years ago. Across the galaxy, worlds began to whisper about the strange humans of Earth. The species that looked weak, but had strength that couldn't be measured. The species that had changed an empire, not with weapons, but with kindness. The species that had taught the most powerful empress in the galaxy how to love. And in the center of it all stood Taiho, an ordinary man who had done an extraordinary thing. He had seen a lonely woman hiding behind a throne, and he had asked if she was okay. That was all it took. A moment of compassion, a willingness to see the person behind the power. That was the human way, and it had changed the galaxy forever.